Hi, my name is Carolyn. I'm the owner of Heirloom Upholstery in University Place, Washington. We are a small at-home workshop that specializes in vintage and antique seating. And this video is tips on how to buy project furniture for DIY upholsterers, maybe those who have moved past dining room chairs and stools and want to do some seating that's a little more challenging. So I've learned a lot in the last 15 years about how to buy project furniture, and I wanted to share some of these tips with you. So first I wanted to talk about where to buy furniture. When I was first starting out, I went to a lot of antique stores and thrift stores. Great places to find awesome furniture, but living where I do in the greater Seattle-Tacoma region, it's an expensive place to buy furniture. So it might not be where you live, but it is here. And so I don't do that so much anymore. I do go to estate sales, and estate sales are usually 2 to 3 day sales. And if you're looking for a great bargain, go on the last day of the sale. That's when things are discounted. If money isn't so much an object, go on the first day, because that's when the awesome chair is going to get purchased. So if you want to be the first person getting the awesome piece the first day, if you're a bargain hunter like me, go the last day. So something else is that estate sales are often run by companies, and that's their business model. If this is something you really want to get into, ask to be on their email listserv. They'll let you know when their next estate sale is, and they'll always list when they have vintage and antique seating. Charity thrift stores are another great place to buy. So I often check these out. Find out what charity thrift stores are in your area and maybe rotate around them. Go every couple of months, see what they have. The price points are often pretty good for me. Sometimes I will ask for maybe 10 or 15% off the marked price if it's not something I'm okay with. I never ask for more than that. I don't want to offend the store owner or the employee, and I want to have a good relationship with these stores because I'm going to go back. So something else you might want to try is just being upfront with them. Hey, I'm learning how to do upholstery. Do you have any chairs that need some upholstery work? They might have something in the back that they haven't even moved onto the store floor because either it hasn't been selling or it's in such bad shape. So see what you might be able to find that's in the back. Craigslist, I know some people try to avoid Craigslist. I like Craigslist. I found some really cool pieces. In fact, I found my current project, this chaise lounge, on Craigslist. One tip is when you're searching, just don't look just in the furniture column, search the antique column. And when you're in there, search the word project. So project chair, project sofa. A lot of people buy antique seating with the idea that they will upholster it themselves or that they'll take it to a professional upholsterer. And then either the price is prohibitive or they just don't get around to it for some reason. Their loss could be your win. So something else with Craigslist is if you see something you love, for example, I could tell I love this chair even before I saw it in real life. I communicated with the seller that I really liked their piece, but that I wanted to redo it and that I could not afford the price that they were listing at. Would they be willing to sell it to me for X amount? And they got back to me that they would. And so we set up a time to meet. If I had seen the chair and it was for some reason not what was advertised, not what I was expecting, for some reason it didn't look right to me like a good project, I would walk away. But when I got there, it was what I wanted, so it was a good deal. But if you negotiate about price, talk about price before you get there, you're not going to waste your time, and you're not going to waste their time. So now let's talk about what to look for when your eye does get caught by a piece of antique or vintage furniture. So the first thing, make sure it is antique or vintage. So there are designers who are making, especially mid-century modern, they're making contemporary furniture that looks mid-century modern. Contemporary furniture is difficult to reupholster. It's not really made with the intent that it will ever be reupholstered. And so it can be difficult to take apart and reupholster. You want to make sure something is vintage or antique. Take a good look at it. Something else you're going to want to look for is signs that it's a quality piece. So one thing that you want to find is a heavy solid wood frame. When I found this piece, when I got to the seller's home, I literally lifted up the piece of furniture to feel the weight. You could feel the heft of the piece of furniture, so I knew it had a good solid wood frame. I loved the legs, the solid wood legs. I thought that was a good selling point. The fabric, and it's hard to tell in video, but this is a mohair fabric, an expensive fabric. That's another sign they wouldn't pair a very expensive fabric with an inexpensive piece of furniture. It's not on it right now, but there was a thick down cushion on top of this chair. Down is an expensive material, so that it had a down cushion was a giveaway that it was a quality piece of furniture. So you also want to make sure that any wood defects on the show wood is anything that you're going to be able to see after the piece is fully upholstered. So on this guy, the only show wood is the legs. You want to make sure that any dings and scratches are either something you can live with or something that you'll be able to take care of on your own. As you get better at finding projects, your eye will get better and better at ignoring all fabric defects and looking just at the form and shape of that furniture. So you need to be able to look past ugly patterns, cat scratches, rips, tears, even some odors. Those things don't matter. What matters is that you're getting a straight, sturdy piece of furniture. A little bit of wiggle is okay. Most antique and vintage furniture, the joints are going to need to be glued and clamped so that they get rid of little wiggles. A big wiggle, a big wobble, if you look at furniture and it's not straight, avoid that because you don't know. The furniture, the frame might be broken underneath the upholstery someplace you can't see. You just don't want to go there. If you're someone who just doesn't want to deal with frame defects, really make sure it's a sturdy piece. Sit in it. Wiggle your hips, see if there's a wobble, or just take it and kind of move it back and forth and in either direction and see if the furniture is going to, how much it's wiggling. Let's see. For beginners, a big concern is just how difficult the project is. So most seating has springs, and there are two types of springs. There's a coil spring that's held in place by jute webbing. It's tied into jute webbing along the bottom of the piece. On antique and vintage pieces, quite often these coil springs are going to need to be taken out and retied. That's something a beginner can do, but it is difficult. I mean, it's difficult for beginners. And so if you just aren't ready to go there yet, look for a piece that has what they call zigzag, sinuous, or nose sag springs. That's, again, it's a steel spring just like this, but instead of being a coil, it is shaped like this. It is nailed with a fastener from one side of the furniture to the other side of the frame. It gives just a slight dome, very slight dome on top. Often those don't need to be redone, so often the nailed-in fasteners are pretty tight and you don't have to do any spring work. How you can tell is if you reach under a piece of furniture, you can feel the jute webbing that's woven at the bottom. If you can feel jute webbing, it is the coil springs. That's the only reason for jute webbing, is to tie in the coil springs at the bottom. If you look at the bottom of a piece of furniture and that furniture bottom is completely flat, no dome, that means it has, and you can't feel anything, that means it has the sinuous springs. This guy, I can feel under, I can feel the jute webbing, I can feel a doming, which means it has the coil springs. That is the springs pushing down on that jute webbing. Something else to look for, seats that have a tight seat and a tight back. That means no loose cushions. They're really good first projects. Doesn't mean that they're easy, they can still be complicated, but making those loose cushions, it can be complicated and kind of frustrating for beginners. So let me show you one. This is a chair I recently redid. It has a tight seat and a tight back. See, no loose cushions. If I show you the bottom of the seat, look at the profile, completely flat. That is because it has the sinuous zigzag springs. So I don't have any spring work to do. So that was a fairly easy project, a good project for someone who's more of that beginning level. Well, I think that about does it. Those are my tips for buying your next great furniture projects, and have fun with it. I think upholstery is really fun, and I hope you do too. Good luck!